Hey guys, this is George here, and today we're going to be talking about whether Kim Kardashian should practice law, whether it's a good idea, and the process in which she needs to complete to actually practice law in the state of California. So let's get right into it. First things first, regardless of what you think, good or bad, there's been a lot of publicity on Kim Kardashian West, and sometimes not always the best publicity. And that might work to her benefit or actually hurt her later on, and we'll get into that a little later. But she is a social influencer, a billionaire, and a entrepreneur. So there is a lot of good things you can say about her. Now, I've heard a lot of feedback from the legal community about that this is an insult, that it's a joke, that she's making a mockery of the legal field. And most of that is from lawyers and law students, people involved in law. So I wanted to address that on why people feel that she's unqualified or doesn't deserve to be a lawyer. So the first things first, Kim Kardashian can actually take the bar exam in the state of California. There's a total of 4 states that you can take the bar without going to an American Bar Association approved school, ABA approved school, to get your law degree, your JD, and then go to then to pass the bar after law school. So Kim Kardashian can do it by meeting a few simple requirements. One of those is an apprenticeship. Now, many of you are aware that the Kardashians first really achieved fame in the 90s, early 2000s, when their father represented O.J. Simpson in the famous double murder trial, where he was acquitted. And you hear the famous line by Johnny Cochran, "If the glove don't fit, you gotta acquit," or something to that effect, which is infamous and really brought them into the public eye. That case was widely publicized. It's still famous today. So from there, the Kardashians became famous. Now, so what that tells you is that Kim has ties to the legal community through her father. And not only that, I mean, take out her father out of the equation. She runs multiple businesses. She's involved in Hollywood. She probably has an agent, a manager, a legal team to represent her. She's probably had to be involved in lawsuits that happen when you're that famous. So she has most certainly had contact and probably knows some of the most powerful lawyers, not only in California, but in New York and across the rest of the world. So she is about as plugged in as you can be. Now, second, and the other thing I've heard from the legal community is anybody, especially in entertainment law and any type of law where the public eye is going to be on you, they want someone, regardless of what they tell you, you want someone with a social following. She's got millions of people follow her, adore her. I mean, there's plenty of people that dislike her too, but publicity, bad publicity is can be as good publicity. And we've seen a lot of celebrities take advantage of that. People like Conor McGregor, you either love him or you love to hate him. And there's people like Kim Kardashian, it's the same way. There's people that love her and there's people that love to hate her, but they capitalize on the fact that you're reading about her regardless of how you feel. So that's going to bring a lot of media attention to whatever cases or causes she wants to get involved in. And so that is a huge thing. If you can get media attention for your case, it's as good as gold, and that's really part of the reason and actually the strategy for the defense in the O.J. Simpson trial. I mean, that might be a habit that she picked up from dear old dad, was to take the spotlight and to use that to your advantage in a court of law and in the court of public opinion, which sometimes can have a lot of influence, although it's not supposed to. And there is a lot of the legal community that will disregard that. And there's things that you can do within in law to avoid or circumvent those type of things, to circumvent public opinion and to get that out of the courtroom, which some lawyers might do. So is it a good idea? like I said, there's a lot of people with a negative opinion about Kim Kardashian practicing law. I personally think it could be a really good thing. I'll tell you that, first of all, some of the bad stuff I've heard, let's just put it out there. She hasn't been the greatest role model in the past for young women. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, George, she's a billionaire. She's an entrepreneur. She's a social influencer. And I get that. I think for that reason, she has been a phenomenal role model for women to go out there, to become entrepreneurs, become CEOs, to take on challenges, and to really put women at the forefront. And she's become as big, if not bigger, than some of her male counterparts or peers. So I think that's phenomenal. But what I like even more than that is now she's doing something that requires an education. She's empowering women and saying that, like, hey, listen, use what you've got to your advantage, get better, think big, be your own boss, be an entrepreneur, CEO. And then now what she's doing is she's using that to go and get admitted into practice in the state of California to become a lawyer. I mean, I think that's a really positive thing for women. Now, what I will say is she has taken up some causes, I think prisoner release and prisoner reform. I'm not exactly sure of the circumstances surrounding that. However, that is a cause that could totally and most definitely use more light in the public. Someone like her is going to shine a lot of light on a situation, people's, especially prisoners, the poor treatment. Prisoners have it rough. And I know what you're thinking. They're criminals. Who cares, right? But there's bad conditions. These are people who have paid their debt to society and are chastised years after. And there's people that are innocent and wind up in jail and their life is ruined. And if she's going to fight for those people's rights, American citizens' rights, just because you commit a crime doesn't mean you're not an American citizen. I think that's an awesome thing. I have a lot of friends in law school that go into prison reform and helping, criminals and criminal defense and helping innocent people get out of jail and apply for appeals through the state Supreme Court. And I'll tell you what, you probably can't get 1/100th of what she can get done in the same field, because she has the influence. She can get in contact with the President of the United States, the Attorney General. These are people you're going to have a difficult time if you don't have that social influence that she does. So I think that could be a really excellent thing. And I think for the legal community, one thing we see is since the days of Johnny Cochran, most attorneys have become obscure. I could tell you maybe some political attorneys, obviously the Supreme Court judges, people that wind up to serve on the Supreme Court, but none of them have that star power they did in the 90s when people were going through cases that brought a lot of shine to the legal field. Now, obviously, I believe in ethics, and I think that we have to keep the legal community at a high standard, and that people should practice the law with a lot of reverence, that you should really take it seriously, that people's lives are on the line, that when we do a process called stare decisis, which means that basically laws stack on top of each other, that you follow a pattern so that everyone has a fair, that people don't just make up laws as they go, that you kind of base it on the tradition and other people's opinions before you. So we have to be careful and treat the law with a reverence. It's an extremely important thing, and I really respect it. So I would say there's a caveat to Kim Kardashian practicing law, is that she treats the law with the same type of reverence that someone who goes through a 3-year program and then goes on to pass the bar. So let's get into our next part, which is we've talked about whether I think this will be a good idea or a bad idea. I think it has a lot of potential to be good, to bring some of the shine back to the legal community. These people going through law school, maybe it'll open up more doors. Maybe it'll open up more jobs to really reinvigorate our community. And someone like me loves that. Hey, more power to you, sister. Let me ride your coattails, right? So then what we have to talk about is, can she do it? And we talked about that briefly. She can actually do a few requirements. I think she has to apprentice under someone, which should be extremely easy for her. She has to pass a test for her first year classes. So I'm assuming this is a cumulative test to cover torts, contracts, legal writing, crim pro. Each school varies a little bit on what their first year courses are. However, they're relatively standard. So you're talking some of those core classes that you're going to wind up taking, which are also happen to be subjects on the bar exam. So by studying for that, she's kind of studying for the bar. Now, California is notoriously one of the most difficult bars. I think there's a couple out there. I think it's New York, California, Delaware, and somewhere else. If I didn't mention your state, I'm sorry. But those three tend to be some of the more hardest and notoriously difficult ones that are spoken about in the legal community. So there has been few people who have not gone through the ABA, American Bar Association approved law school, and come out to take the bar exam and pass. So someone doing what she would do, which wouldn't require law school. Only a very small percentage of people wind up doing that. And it's usually the brightest and smartest people. So she's going to have a lot of difficulty. Your competition is going to be stiff with the people who have passed are probably top caliber people. They're very smart. Not to say that Kim isn't really smart. Obviously, she is. She's a billionaire entrepreneur, social media influencer. I mean, you got to be smart to do those things, right? So I think that it is possible. And the other factor that I've heard a little bit is with that type of money, you have a lot of resources. You can hire the best tutor. You can talk to the best people. You can do a lot of things with money, and a few things I probably can't mention. But all that to say that with that type of resources, she can 100% devote the time and hours with the best legal minds to pass that bar. So then where do we go from here? So she's passed the bar, and what does she do? Now, Kim Kardashian has talked about her passion for getting into criminal reform, and we talked about that earlier. But will she do that? Will she just do that? Or will she go into practice with a law firm, a big law firm, maybe entertainment law, take on clients, represent, maybe she'll follow her father into a criminal defense and start representing clients in big trials. Now, I don't think she's going to do that. I think that if she does it, it'll be in a very light capacity. Maybe she'll sign with a law firm, a big law firm. And I think she would do that for two reasons. Probably she already has a law firm in mind who would love to have her on their roster as an attorney, and probably a partner. So you're talking about diversifying your portfolio of incoming money. Well, a law firm makes a lot of money. And I'll tell you that having yourself as a partner or an owner in a law firm, and then hiring some of the best minds who would probably love to work for her in something, any type of law. You probably have people jumping into bits to get on with her into her firm. That would just be an extra revenue stream. You get a managing partner, you hire them, and you go back to doing whatever you do and let them handle it and collect a paycheck. So, and I think someone like Kim probably has a number of revenue streams. So you're just adding one more to the barrel. So I think that she would most likely do that, and in some capacity, although I don't think she'll litigate in court. I don't know how well that would go over for her, and if she did it, I would assume, not to be offensive, but I would assume it's probably a publicity stunt in some degree. Not that she's not qualified, not that she can't do it, but that would probably get a lot of attention. you can imagine the media stories on Kim Kardashian's first day in law and the comparisons to her father and the trial. So I think she's going to reserve that, one, for charitable causes, and two, to use to her advantage for her own business ventures, to get her name out there and get people talking about Kim Kardashian and all the products she's got coming out or projects she's got coming out. So again, I think she can do it. I think that if she does it, it could be a good thing, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. So drop a like or leave a comment below, and I will get back to it. Or if you'd like to see another video, please let me know. And if you're going to law school or considering going to law school, you can check out the links up here and probably up here. So that would probably be the most practical advice on being successful in your first year of law school. I'll give you tips and practical knowledge on how to apply for the LSAT if you're considering going to law school, and how to write a case brief once you're in law school. So check those out, guys, and have a good day.